Hi, and welcome back. In the last lesson, I asked you to replicate this output right here, but instead of just outputting values, I wanted you to use variables. This is how I did mine. I have three variables, my underscore name, my underscore age, and my underscore height. Then I print out whatever is being held by these variables, and then print out the type of each variable in the same print statement. So, simple enough. Let's move on to today's lesson. Today, we will learn to use arithmetic operators to manipulate variables. Let's first look at the four basic ones that you're probably familiar with. First one is addition, and it is denoted by a plus sign. We can add two or more values by putting a plus sign between each of them. We can do the same with subtraction by putting a minus sign between each of the values. For multiplication, we use an asterisk, and for division, we use the slash symbol. These are the four basic ones. Let's look at some more complex ones now. Before you look at these, let's talk about quotient and remainder. When you divide 9 by 5, 1 is the quotient and 4 is the remainder. Quotient is the integer result of the division, and remainder is what is left over. With that, floor division returns the integer result of the division, so it returns the quotient. It is denoted in Python by two consecutive slashes with no spaces in between. To get the remainder of the division, we use the modulus, which is denoted by the percentage sign in Python. The last one is the exponent, which is some value raised to another value, like 2 raised to the power of 2, or 2 squared. It is denoted in Python by two consecutive asterisks without any spaces. Keep in mind that while mixing and matching operators, operations are performed from left to right. So, operation between the first two leftmost values will be performed first and then the next value and so on. These are all the arithmetic operators in Python, but before we can use them, we need to know which operator can be used with which type of value. Operations in Python are type dependent. Basically, you can only use certain operators with certain types of values. With integers and floats, you can use any arithmetic operator with other values of integers and floats. The real restrictions come with string type of values, which makes sense since arithmetic operations are meant to be used with numbers. You can still use two arithmetic operators on strings. You can add two strings together using the plus sign. For example, take one string value of hello and another string value of world. When we add them, we end up with hello world with no space in between. You can also multiply a string with an integer to repeat the string that many times. For example, if we multiply 4 by hello, we end up with a string that has hello 4 times in it. Now, let's try coding arithmetic operators in our programs. So, what we learned in our last lesson is that we can assign values to variables. Let's just go ahead and take two variables each, x and y. Now we can go ahead and print I can say I want to see the addition of x and y, and then I can just do x plus y right here, run it, and then let's see what happens. Addition 3. I can even print out print. I can say x is something, then I can say y is this, and then it will tell me the addition. So x is 1, y is 2. Maybe we should add like a space in between. Let's do that. See, x is 1, y is 2, and the addition of them is 3. We can keep doing this for, say, subtraction. Make sure to put it in quotes. X minus y. Print. Oh, I forgot the comma, didn't I? There we go. And there we go. Addition is 3, subtraction is 1. Now this is doing x minus y, which is 1 minus 2, which is negative 1. Multiplication would be the same thing as well. X asterisk y, 1. Same thing. We do the same thing with division 2. comma. There you go. Now we can try floor division as well. Now we expect to get 0 this time around. Let's see. And we do get 0 because 1 isn't big enough to be even taken once by 2. We can do the modulus as well. Percentage sign y. And we get 1 now because the remainder is 1. And then the exponent should be, forgot to put the quotes again, x asterisk y. Now we should get 1 because 1 to the power 2 is just 1. Now we can, the beauty of using variables like we said last time is just we can change the variables here. Let's say I want to change this to say 100 now and keep this 14. Okay? And look. Addition 114, subtraction 86, multiplication 114,000. Now notice how the only number out of all of these that is not an integer is the division. And that is because anytime you divide an integer by an integer, you end up with a float. That's just how Python works. Whenever you divide two numbers, the result is always a float, no matter whether they're integers or not. Then we can even change them to floats. Let's see what happens if we change them to a little more complex. Now we end up getting, now every single value that is returned is a float now, since the result is always a float. Even the float division, which is supposed to give an integer value, returns a float. Anytime that you operate on two floats, you end up with a float result. We can keep one float, one integer as well. As you can see, same thing here. That works as well. And let's have a look at strings now. So I can have a new variable called hello, which just stores hello. I can have another variable called world, which stores world. Notice how the variable name doesn't have any single quotes, but the string needs to have single quotes. That's how we distinguish between a variable and string values. We can have another variable called space. That is just an empty space. We can have another variable called exclamation point. We can say this thing right here. Now we can add strings, right? As we learned, we can write in print. We can say whatever is in hello plus whatever is in world plus space. See, the space should go between the world and plus exclamation point. If we print this now, we get exactly the same as if we had just printed print we get the exact same output, don't we? Look. But this time around we have changed it. Now we can change just one word here. Say for example, hello Daniel. Now it says hello Daniel. So this is the kind of things you can do with variables, and manipulating them is even more interesting. Now let's also look at printing strings, multiplying strings with integers. We can do print hello, 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 hello. Now I wrote hello here 4 times. Let's put a space in between so you can distinguish them. If I run it now, I print hello 4 times. If I wanted to print 10 times, it's going to take even longer for me to write all that down. Instead, I can just multiply them. So I make sure to add a space at the end so the space is repeated as well. Let's see if I do 10 multiplied by hello. And now I have hello 10 times without needing to write hello 10 times. So that's it for this coding lesson. Let's move on to the problem. So for the problem for this lesson, I want you to replicate this output right here. First, I have hello 10 times right here. This should be an easy one. and then I am adding random numbers. These numbers are obviously chosen, but as in I'm saying they're randomly selected. And then I'm multiplying floats. I'm doing a division on 2.5, on 5 and 2 to get 2.5. And then I have variables x and y, and I'm telling you what the variables hold. And then I'm dividing them and giving the quotient and the remainder. So see if you can get this output. I'll show you the solution to the problem with my code in the next lesson, and I'll see you then.